Hey guys, it's Jeff, and we're live again. And I've got a full house again tonight. It was awesome that we could do the four of us now. I've got, of course, the amazing Tiffany Ott. I've got the one and only Ray Hewitt with me. We got a special guest, one of our double team moderators tonight, Dave Burgess, who you probably all already know, the author of Teach Like a Pirate and Peter's a Pirate, and I'm, Dave Burgess Consultant and a million other books that are just amazing in the educational world. Dave, you and Shelly both hosted today. I really loved it. We went like 4 questions from Shelly's, and then you guys flipped it up, and we went over to your profile for a little bit. Shelly, unfortunately, was caught in traffic and can't join us right now, so we're just going to have to deal with you, I guess.
You know what?
We took a poll, and we're cool with it. So
yeah, it's going to be a sacrifice. It's going to be tough, but you know what? It's just the way that's going to have to be.
So first off, it was an awesome chat. Our team just loves Thursday nights because, we all put in full days, then we come here and we get ready. We put the families in other rooms, and we get to join this worldwide PLN that we have, and it's so cool. And tonight was just no different. It was an awesome chat. It was really great. So from your end, kind of co-hosting with co-moderating with Shelly there, how are you feeling right now after that chat? What's going through your mind right now?
Hey, I'm totally pumped. You guys have an unbelievable community that you've built that comes together on Thursday nights, and what a great thing. I mean, I always tell people, there's a lot of negativity in education. It's not on Twitter usually, right? Because who comes on Twitter? People that want to come after work, after they've done a full day already. And now they want to come on just to connect with other educators, get better, to learn and to collaborate. And so who are you going to run into on Twitter? You're going to run into the best of the best. And that's what I saw in MasteryChat tonight and every week. And so it was flying. It was fast. I hope you took your Dramamine before the chat started, because that baby was flying, and it was super fun. And the answers, unbelievable. The whole time I'm looking at this chat, I'm thinking, I want these people to teach my kids.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So, all right, I don't know if we need to ask, but Tiff, how you feeling?
There are very few words to describe how much I love Thursday Night Mastery Chat, and I think Dave really summed it up beautifully by saying, the people that come out on Twitter to participate in these education chats, they are just they're world changers. They're game makers. They're I'm going to come out here and I'm going to do what's best for kids. And so every single Thursday night, we just get so pumped up, and it is just an awesome community to be a part of. And I just you guys know, Master Chat's my little baby, right? We're coming up on a 1-year anniversary here, and just
wow.
I know, right? This little family that has grown to be so huge, and the voices that we hear every Thursday night just going out there and changing the world. And I eat it up. I cannot get enough of it. Love it.
I've got, you mentioned the 1 year. We're coming up. I think we launched in June. We did our first chat, right? Yeah. We started doing, I think we were going to do 1 a month, and we did 2 a month, and then we just decided to go for it.
Yeah.
And I got to give a little bit of props, because this was your baby. You and Amber were we got to do this. We got to do this. And then,
do you remember us sitting in the hotel in Atlanta, Georgia, we were at Semapalooza? And we were like, we should do a Twitter chat.
And we just went and we did one from down there. We did it. Yeah, we did it live in our little hashtag just to start up.
Yep.
A hotel room. We won't, with spiders out all over the place or whatever.
Yeah.
Stuff. It was great. It's grown. It really has, like you said, the voices. And Dave, you summed it up perfect. We've mentioned this a lot, where we say, it's amazing that this group, there's such a big group of educators, they put in a full day of who knows what they dealt with all day. The millions of things, right? Then they got home and they had to take care of probably stuff around the house, kids,
your
husband,
kids vomiting,
wife, whatever. Yeah. Well, luckily my wife's amazing and she was taking care of that. But during the chat, but all this stuff going on, and then they get on and they commit another hour or probably longer to bettering themselves to be better for their students, and that's the coolest thing. We're constantly talking about, teach better. And what a prime example of that. So Ray, we're gonna let you get a word in too. How you feeling?
No, I love listening to you guys. Tiffany said our small little MasteryChat family, and every single week that we've MasteryChat, it just grows and grows and grows. I love being like, oh, hey, MasteryChat family. And then you see that there's like over 100 people participating all at once. And you're like, I meant huge MasteryChat family. How y'all doing? It's just so fun. So especially having Dave. Dave, you were a huge addition to this chat. It was so fun to have your questions in there. I really loved the theme this week. So it was just, I think it was a lot of really good conversation.
Well, and I'm going to talk more because I always do. I'm sorry. I just need to say that the theme this week fits so perfectly with the focus of MasteryChat. And somebody just made a comment about it, the mix-up of MasteryChat and the pirate theme, right? And like setting your GPS, because so much of the chat was about where are we going? How do we get there? And that is at the very crux of what it is to be a mastery learning teacher, right? Like they jive so well. And so that was just such a really neat collision of worlds that I just so enjoyed.
Well, and Tiffany, to your point, there was a lot of focus on not only how do we get there, but why are we going there, right? Like that whole concept of why came up really, really evident throughout my Twitter feed of why are we doing this? Why is this a focus? And why do we need to really commit time to making it happen? So it was very cool.
So Dave, let's flip. I usually have whoever moderates, or a lot of times I just turn to one of these two ladies here. But are there any particular answer or tweet or anything that really stood out to you that you can think of right now? I know there's a lot of them flying by there, but
I'll tell you what. When I was reading down those 5 words that people were listing, it was just amazing. And what the kind of reaction you have, you come up with your 5 words, but then you look at what the next 10 people tweeted, and you're like, wait a second, I like those words. And then you're like, I want that one too, and that one too, and that one. And then pretty soon your 5 words turns into 10 to 15 to 20, right? And so I do this live in workshops when I do like breakout sessions on this, and I have teachers come up with their 5 words. And then what I say to them is like, all right, now you got your 5 words, now commit. This is your destination. This is where you said you want to go. Now you look at what you're teaching next week. You look at your next lesson. You look what you have on tap for your next unit. And you say, would any kid who's going through what I have planned next week, would they write down these words? Would they write down these 5 words? Because if not, well, when you make a wrong turn in a car with a GPS, what does it say? Recalculate. So you come up with your 5 words, you commit, here they are, and now you look at your lesson. Recalculate, and you would intentionally design the kind of experience for kids that will lead them to say these kind of words that they would be able to live up to your 5-word GPS. And so it's a way of becoming more intentional about your teaching and it's not a huge investment on the front end to do it. You're coming up with 5 words, but now you use those 5 words.
Yeah.
That becomes your chart, sort of your measuring stick for how are they going to respond to it. I love it. That's really cool.
I love that 5-word. I'll stop talking soon, I promise.
No, you're good. Go.
I love that 5-word activity, and I do it with my students a lot in terms of like, I teach gifted students, right? So they have a lot of ideas in their head that just kind of want to explode out. And so it's like, okay, in 5 words, explain this concept, right? Get it down to just the 5 most important words that you need to share about this concept. And that ties right in with what you said you do at workshops, Dave, right? So what are the 5 most important? Because we know that there's like thousands of things out there that we want to be as educators. Choose 5. What are you going to do to make that happen?
Well, we talk a lot about not only what can you do to make it happen one day, but how do you get that every single day, right? We talk all the time about, okay, you can be great on Friday with a stellar activity, but what about Thursday, Wednesday, and every other day that you needed to also have it be awesome and match those 5 words? So finding a way for teachers to make it manageable, but also make those 5 words prevalent every single day is a huge balance, but something that teachers have to continue to strive to commit to.
It's a big picture view, right? Like it's like, okay, these 5 words are great on Friday, but how do you make a unit these 5 words?
And
right?
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, when Dave was talking, Ray, you're always talking when we're working with teachers with the Teach Further model, and making sure that they understand that it's not just about making a one fun, really exciting day or even one fun, exciting unit, but rather doing it all the time. Because otherwise, you have one big one, and then all the rest are kind of down here. And to Dave's point, like if that one big one hits those 5 words, those other ones aren't, then you need to reset. You need to recalculate. Yeah. And that's what I love. When he was saying that, I was thinking of the words you always say, right? About how it can't just be about one unit, one day, one awesome Friday. It's got to be every single day. And, you know, we always say, you know, using the cliche, like you got to go every single day, you got to go that one step further and teach further, which is the whole reason for that. So that's awesome. I love how it's all tying together there.
Well, and I really liked the driving analogy too. I mean, Dave, I felt like that was a perfect kind of road trip analogy, because you're right that these are things that you don't just drive for a day on a road trip, right? You make it a consecutive day process, and the whole concept of recalculating, it was all perfect with striving to do more than just, you know, an hour of great teaching. So I think that really caught on, because all of the comments in our Twitter was really, really confident with that. And then I loved, then it switched and said, okay, what 5 words do you not want students to describe your class as? And that was so cool to read.
Very cool. Very cool.
And scary.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you're reading down this list and going like, hey, you know what? That's the experience. That is some students' experience at school. The reverse GPS will describe a lot of people's days. And so then when you compare that to the 5 words that we saw in the question before, and you realize like, hey, this is situation critical. Like I don't want this to describe my class. I want these other things. I want these other words to describe my class. And then you realize, you know, how much work, but how worth it is to put that effort in to make sure you have the right GPS.
I was responding to people's tweets when that question was up, and everyone was like, "Yikes! Ew! Ouch!" Like it was all.
It was painful to read.
Being like, ooh.
Yeah, that was painful.
I think that touches on something that came up when you were talking about like recalculating the route, right? So it's the reflection piece that is so critical for any kind of educational approach, right? Like if you aren't reflecting on those 5 words that you don't want students to say, and then actually taking yourself and putting yourself in their shoes in that chair and saying, if I was a student in this class, would I be engaged? Would I be engaged just because I was a student who played school really well? Or would I be engaged because I was actually engaged? And really removing ourselves from the role, from like that position of, I created this and this is great and this is what I have to do, and really looking at it critically and saying, is this really where we want to be going? Is this really how we want to be doing this lesson? And being really prepared to not like the answer you see. Then what are you going to do about it? What do you do next?
And it ties into what I think, what I tell people, the essential question of Teach Like a Pirate, the entire book, is this. If they didn't have to be there, would you be teaching to an empty room? Like, if your class was optional, if school was optional, if they didn't have to be there in that seat, would you be teaching to an empty room? Or is there something about you and the way you make kids feel, and the kind of experiences you create for them, and what you're offering them that maybe they're not getting anywhere else in their life, that they'll be drawn to you in your room anyway? Those are the teachers that we want to be. And so we can do that very intentionally. And, you know, we've all been in a car when the GPS system is out of whack and it's spinning and the thing's spinning around and like it can't locate you. And it's disorienting, right? You have no idea what to do. You almost have to pull off the road and stop. And so it shows you how important not only the destination is, but also having that ability to reflect and to really take a self-reflective look at where you are now in relationship to where you want to go. And it's not easy. That's why one of the things I tweeted is sometimes people will say, I talk about failure and how many times I failed, and people say, well, I haven't failed in my classroom recently. And I was just think to myself, this person's either delusional or they're playing it too safe. And safe lessons are a recipe for mediocrity. And so you never know where those edges are until you fall off of them. And in our line of work, it's not a big deal when you do, because they come back the next day and you make it right.
So because I love this kind of stuff, and I respond to that, Dave. Like I always talk about how I'm fortunate enough to have failed a lot, just in general, and that's why I'm where I'm at. And I love talking to people about like their failures and kind of reflecting back. So I'm going to put you on the spot, but can you share up with us a time that you did fail and sort of like walk us through like how that felt, like how you got there, how it felt, how you recalculated, and then what came from that? If you could think of something off the top there.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I mean, I've had so many failures. I have so many to choose from, right?
Sure.
So I'll tell you an epic failure in my classroom. I had a lesson that I created. It was on the War of the Worlds. The Orson Welles original radio broadcast that convinced many people that we were actually being invaded by Martians. I mean, literally, people were terrified, and people did crazy, unbelievable things, believing that we were invaded by Martians. What an engaging story for kids! This guy pulled this prank and convinced people that we were being invaded. I can't think of a better lesson idea, right? And it was going to be about the power of emergence of the power of radio and things like this, right? And storytelling and all that. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to play the broadcast for them so they could actually experience it. And so we turned all the lights off, made it so you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face, darkness. And we listened to this behavior management issues everywhere. People throwing stuff in the room in the dark. You hear people going like, hey, stop. There's stuff. I have to turn the lights on. I had to pull the plug right in the middle of the lesson. Okay. And then I gave them a big warning speech for the next period. Next period came in, behavior management problems everywhere. And I walked away from that lesson going like, I'm ready to kill somebody. You know how much time I put into preparing this cool idea about having kids experience this Martian. It's a freaking Martian attack, an invasion of Earth. Like, how could you not be engaged by an invasion of the Earth, right? And so I was so upset. And then later upon reflection, it hit me. You know what? The whole core of my lesson, that broadcast, it is really super boring for a modern kid who knows it's not real now, right? And if you listen, it's like watching paint dry. Okay. And so the very centerpiece of my lesson was horrible. And so now what would be the answer as I teach like a pirate? Maybe next year, if I come in dressed like a Martian, or what if I put props around the room from outer space? No, it still will be no good because the core of my lesson sucks. And it was no good. And so how can we recalculate this? Well, what we did, with idea from another teacher, is we had them create their own radio broadcasts. Where back in those time in the radio, you had to make all your own sound effects. If you were going upstairs, you had to make a sound effect of the stairs. Every single thing was done live in audience with the actors on the microphones. And so we had them recreate that, where they created their own radio broadcast. They went into a little office room, and then they played the broadcast live, performing it for the rest of the kids. And so now what do we have? We have great engagement. We have entertainment. We have humor. We have kids creating and making, as opposed to just passively listening to a radio broadcast. And so we totally changed the lesson around and created something that was powerful for kids.
I love that student-focused lesson. That's awesome.
Right. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Dave.
I love so much the ability to stop and say, it's not the kids, it's me, right? Like so often in education, we put a lot of blame on a lot of things, right? Kids these days, parents these days, administrators these days, politicians these days. I don't care where it is, you can find a place to put blame. But when it comes down to it, like, you are in front of your room, you are designing these lessons for the students. And sure, there's a lot of complicating factors. Absolutely. But when it comes down to it, you need to change what you're doing if you want to have that engagement like go through the roof. So I love that.
Everything that happens in the classroom is feedback. Yes. Everything that happens in the classroom is feedback. And so you use that feedback to make shifts in course that you don't beat yourself up about it. You don't beat kids up about it. You don't personalize it. It's just feedback. So you turn failure into feedback, and you use it and that's why, I tweeted the thing about, hey, pirates don't yell at the wind. They don't cuss at the wind. They don't get mad at the wind. They read the wind. They adjust their sails. They catch it and they go. And the wind of our classroom is that student feedback. So we have to accept that feedback that students are giving us all the time. And it's the real-time gift of feedback to help us improve and hone our craft. And so once we change our mindset to seeing that as a gift to help us get better, then it's easier to not personalize it or beat people up about it.
I love it. I love it because that feedback is so critical in the mastery learning work that we do, right? So it's that opportunity to give our students feedback and then flip it and get feedback back from the students. And we all know that the grid method and mastery learning and all of these things don't work unless that feedback is an integral part of the conversation. And just like you're saying, Dave, that feedback is the gift. It is what we need to grow. I love it. Awesome.
I loved seeing there were a lot of people answering. I can't remember what question they were actually answered on, but about how they put out surveys every month or every quarter and these things, and are listening to their students. And I was trying to comment on all I could find, because I'm like, that's just awesome. Like, because Dave, what I love most about that story was that, like, when that happened, you could have very easily attributed it to, oh, these kids just don't appreciate this older technology because they're, stuck in their phones or whatever it is. But you didn't. You focused. You did just what the lesson was. What you accepted that feedback. And I think that's such a big piece. I love that, because we, like Tiff, you talk about all the time. Like, quit blaming the kids. It's not your kids. It's you, right? And I think it was really cool to see so many teachers saying, I do these feedback, I do these surveys, and I don't just put them out there, but I actually take them to heart, and I make changes from it, because that's just crucial. So that's awesome. Love it. So
I completely agree.
Ray, anything on your mind?
Oh my gosh, I can't help it because I haven't mentioned it, but like Chad's fail analogy, I use every single day. My students say it. I mean, the FAIL, first attempt in learning, we use it every day. A student literally said it to me in 7th hour that, well, it's fine. I mean, I didn't do well, but like, this is just the first time I was trying this. I'm going to do better the second time. And that whole mentality of growth and feedback and trying things over again is, I just love to hear it not only echoed between the educators in the Twitter chat, but here with all of you. I mean, it's such a invaluable part. I love to see that teachers are taking hold of this and then running with it, and to have multiple experts communicating the same concept. Like, we are going to change the world, y'all. We are going to do it someday.
It's happening. It's happening. We have a mantra in my class that's, if you're not failing and the kids call back, you're not growing. If you're not failing, you're not growing, period.
Love it.
Love it. So I don't want to keep you too long here, Dave. So I want to touch. I don't know if you had any last thoughts you want to share, but then I want to ask you, because I know you tweeted about one, but anything super excited in the Dave Burgess consultant and Dave Burgess world going on right now that you want to maybe give a shout out to?
Hey, we always have cool stuff going on, new projects coming out. It's one of the best parts about what I do is getting to work with these incredible educators and then help them spread their message. I just wrote a blog on Edu Protocols and it's unbelievable. It's lesson frames that you can use for the rest of your life. How you have a picture frame, and every time you get a new picture, you don't buy a new frame. You have a beautiful frame. You switch the pictures in and out of that frame.
Sure.
You can do that with your content with these Edu Protocols. And we just talked about reps, about how, you don't first attempt, second attempt, third attempt. Well, the more kids use these lesson frames, these ideas, these protocols, the better they get at it. So that one just came out. And then during the chat, The Path to Serendipity by Allison Absey just became live. And I'm just going to tell you right now, that book it's unbelievable. You're going to absolutely love it.
Is that on your site, Dave?
It's not that one's not even on the site yet. You can go to Amazon. Path to Serendipity. I mean, it literally became live right tonight on Amazon, and so it's up for pre-order. And I just know you're gonna love it.
I have so many books on my to-read list. Like, just the pile's just growing.
Awesome. Go ahead, Tiff. You got something?
Me? Yeah.
No, I was just saying, I just got a book, a part of by George, like the other day, that I'm like halfway through for the second time reading it. I'm like, it's the innovator mindset, isn't it? It's just so good.
Oh, yeah.
It is fantastic. And by the way, I'll give him a little shout out. It's his birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday! That's exciting.
George's birthday.
Happy birthday from the MasteryChat crew.
He's 83 years old today. I know he looks younger, but he's actually 83.
I'll make sure to tell him you said that, Dave.
For some reason, our system back here is being funky, not let me put anything else up on the screen. So I'll just say it out loud that next week's chat, same time, same place, obviously, 8 p.m. Eastern time, is hosted by Aaron Hogan.
Oh, yes. Shattering the perfect teacher myth.
Absolutely.
Yes, and that is what we're talking about, is the teacher myth. So he is at Aaron_Hogan, and we'll be here. I don't know if he's going to be able to come live with us or not, but we're going to try, and we'll see. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. Obviously, we'll be live like we always are prior to, and then we'll be live afterwards recapping, because we just live for these nights. We love them. So one last time, Dave, really appreciate you not only moderating the chat, and Shelly as well, but also coming on and hanging out with us before and after the chat. Really appreciate it a lot. It was a great chat. I can tell by the activity on the chat and in our comments here that, I mean, teachers were getting a lot out of it, and that's what the whole goal is, to to share value and to connect with each other and all work together to teach better. So we really appreciate all that. So
hey, that thing was trending tonight. Guys. So it was awesome.
Yeah, we were hitting some trend in there again. That was great.
Hey, you know what? Thank you so much for having us on. It was a pleasure. I speak for Shelly as well. It was a pleasure to join you guys. We love your community. We love what you guys are doing, what you're building and creating. And so we're just happy to be a part of it.
Awesome.
Changing the world.
With that, we will say goodbye to all you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.